to start off by saying I may ruffle some feathers with some of the stuff I say in here, so prepare yourself. However it is you might feel about these movies, yeah, be prepared. What I will definitely say will not be happening in this video is this is not going to be a video filled with all kinds of vitriol and hate for Prometheus, and not even for Alien Covenant. No, alright, no hate. And I'm gonna start off by just saying I don't care what you think about these movies, whether you hate how they affect the lore of the Alien franchise, if you think they're just filled to the brim with too many humans making absolutely stupid decisions, I don't care. You should still be able to enjoy these films for one thing, if nothing else, alright? And that thing is Michael fucking Fassbender, okay? Yes, Michael Fassbender as David the Synthetic in both Prometheus and Alien Covenant is quite possibly like the greatest character watching experience I have ever had. He is just like so charismatic and just so fascinating to watch. And I will say that even though I hadn't seen any of the other Alien films back when it came out, Prometheus I remember watching on an airplane, and since I hadn't seen any of the other Alien movies, I can't, obviously I don't have that context. I know a lot of people hate Prometheus because they're like, where's this, more, or they don't like the engineers or whatever. And I remember I didn't think it was like amazing, but I definitely didn't dislike it. But the one thing I remember after all of these years from that movie is David and Michael Fassbender, and specifically just like him at the beginning of the movie when everyone else is still in cryosleep, just like watching I think he's watching like Lawrence of Arabia, isn't he, or something like that, just watching old films and just repeating lines from the films and watching him like dye his hair and do all these little, just like all these little things, almost like he's practicing being human or something. That's, if I remembered anything from that film, it was that I absolutely love Michael Fassbender as David. Again, I don't care what you feel about the rest of the films. As far as I'm concerned, Prometheus and Alien Covenant should be entitled David and David the Sequel, okay? Like, that's how good Michael Fassbender is in these films. Like, I would take hours more of just Michael Fassbender's character, like not even doing anything significant. I would watch hours of him just on the ship while everyone else is in cryosleep. He's that amazing in this role. So, that is all to say, yes, we will not be giving hate to these movies, because I think that if anything, he is the saving grace of them. I actually, after watching Prometheus again, I think I've watched it twice actually, because I loved watching Michael Fassbender that much, but I do actually really like it, even with the context of having watched not all, but a lot of the other Alien films. I love the engineers. I think it's fascinating. I am absolutely enthralled with that. I know that once we get to Alien Covenant, so many people were pissed off about the engineer stuff that they decided to pull back on it. So that kind of ruined some of the engineering stuff, but I don't care. Like, again, David, that's all I'm paying attention to, is David. And the thing about him, too, is that, like, sorry, spoilers. Just a heads up, spoilers for these films, but, like, David is the villain in both of these movies. Like, yes, you have this, Romulus too, and Prometheus, but David is not a good synthetic, but at the same time, I love him so much. It's like, I know he's not good. I know that he would, like, do terrible things to me, and all, no matter how nice I am to him, I still love him. I still find myself rooting for him above the humans, like in Prometheus when Elizabeth Shaw's partner or whatever is like constantly smack talking David and like just saying like really nasty things to him, which frankly I feel like are the kind of things I would probably say to a synthetic being, considering I am like very anti that kind of technology and stuff, but still he's just such a jerk about it, and I'm like, yeah, David, get him, put that black goo in his drink, get him, David. Like, I'm cheering for David even though I shouldn't be. It's ridiculous. But yeah, there's that. Okay, we will get back to those films. Let's talk about some of the others, because again, I hadn't seen anything besides Prometheus, and it had been a very long time. And the first one that I watched was Alien Romulus, and the main reason I watched that is because while I didn't really have much interest in the Alien franchise, I'm not a sci-fi gal. Most sci-fi bores me, which we will get to in a bit, but I had seen, footage of the offspring, the major, xenomorph stand-in in Alien Romulus, and how creepy and freaky that creature looked, and that is what really got me interested in watching it. Also, Haley Spaney, I think that's how you say her name, she stars in it, and I have really liked what I've seen of her work so far. So I watched it, and I enjoyed it. Also, the main synthetic guy in Alien Romulus was so good too. He was my favorite part of that movie, honestly, but in like a totally different way than I am enthralled by David, where David I find fascinating and, so charismatic and just like such an exquisite villain. The synthetic in Alien Romulus is very much on the protagonist's side. There are some little things that happen that sort of alter his motivations, which I won't get into, but ultimately he is a good guy. And the guy who played him, I just like wanted to hug him and like swaddle him and cradle him like a baby. He was so sweet, and just felt so innocent and kind. I thought that the guy who played him was fabulous too. But it's funny because one of the things I see people say as to why they do not like Alien Covenant and Prometheus is because they hate the characters. They think they're all like so annoying and terrible, and of course, like I said before, just make stupid decisions, blah blah blah. We will get to that later. But I found myself like being super annoyed with all the characters in Alien Romulus besides Haley Spaney's character. Is it Rain? I think her name is, and then the synthetic. Like, I know that this is not like taking place like in 2026 or whatever, but it still felt like I was watching a bunch of like Gen Z, like 20-somethings in this alien situation, which was very annoying. Like, they just had that vibe about them, and so I found that annoying. Like, I didn't really care for anyone besides Haley Spaney and the synthetic. But overall, I did enjoy the film, and I actually do want to rewatch it. is and will forever be the best in the series. It was just so fantastic. I want to rewatch that one as well. And something in particular that I noticed when I watched it is in the iconic scene where the xenomorph pops out of the guy's chest. I think it really had something to do with like the animatronics and how they move, or like whatever it was that they used for the baby xenomorph. I found myself thinking that the baby xenomorph was so cute. And the way he like just skitters away off the guy's chest. I thought he was adorable. I loved it. And I was telling somebody about that, like how I thought it was so cute, and they were like creeped out by it, and they're like, you do realize what just happened to that guy whose chest he popped out of, blah blah blah. And I'm like, hold on, okay? We're not gonna start this discussion, because the vast majority of real human births are at least that dramatic, just in a different spot of the body, okay? So, we're not going to start that discussion. And despite how dramatic human births are for real women, it does not stop anyone from oohing and ahhing over the human babies. So, I get to do the same thing for that xenomorph, even though it ripped open the guy's chest, okay? And they're like, alright, you can think it's cute, but you would still have to kill it right away, you know? And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna kill it. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna give it a hat and a cane and have it sing show tunes for me, alright? And it's gonna be great. That is a Spaceballs reference for anyone who's familiar. But yeah, I loved that so much. The baby xenomorph. And since I went on this like binge of all the films, got me to start looking at like alien fan art and stuff, which I think is fabulous, and I love like the baby girlification of the xenomorph in a lot of fan art. I think it's really funny. But yeah, absolutely adored the original Alien. I think that everyone can at least agree on that in this video, even if we might be disagreeing on a lot of other stuff. Might switch into like some face tracing. Would that be okay with you? We don't have to pretend this is a face hugger tentacle thing. I won't traumatize you like that. But let's do some face tracing as I get on to aliens. I did not like aliens. And I will say, I had heard, you know, like people have a lot of feelings about the different films in the Alien franchise. This is one that I heard that people did like quite a lot. And I had heard that it was directed by James Cameron, who I am not at all a fan of. But I had heard so many good things about this, I was like, oh well, you know what, let me still give it a chance. You never know. You never know. Maybe this is like the one thing I like by James Cameron. I'll take that back. I actually do love Terminator 2, but that's it. That is the only thing. I can't believe James Cameron directed Terminator 2 and also directed all these other movies that I can't stand. But I was bored to death during this movie. I thought it was terrible. And I also felt like I was watching, it just felt like the same old James Cameron. Because when it first started, I seriously was thinking to myself, I'm like, this feels just like watching Avatar. And I know that Aliens came out decades before Avatar, so really, Avatar should feel like watching Aliens. I'm not going to get into that conversation. It all feels the same. James Cameron does like the exact same shit in every video, and it bores me to tears. And also, don't even get me started on the kid that they threw in here, which is such a cheap way to add suspense and get emotions out of people. It's just like throwing in a cute kid. I thought it was the lamest thing ever. Like, like, you could have done that with something besides this kid that was just thrown in there to get people emotional and stuff like that, because people care about cute little kids. Like, she was just a plot device, and I know someone's gonna come into this video with like a block of text explaining, you know, the further significance of this kid, and you know what, maybe, for all I know, I blacked out from boredom and missed something about the kid that was important, so, you know, enlighten me. But again, like, even if there is a lot of significant stuff that I somehow missed, does it really matter if the movie was so boring that I couldn't pay attention enough to, like, take in those details? It just, like, really annoyed me. I felt like it just felt like typical James Cameron. And as much as people hate on Prometheus and on Alien Covenant, like, I would 1,000 times prefer watching someone who tries something different and thought-provoking and unique and have it totally fail than watch something that's just like by the book, beat after beat, you know, stereotype, cliche, boring stuff. But it succeeds because it's by the book, you know. Like, I said I liked Prometheus. I like watching Michael Fassbender in Alien Covenant, but even beyond Michael Fassbender, I would absolutely rather watch Alien Covenant than watch Aliens again. In fact, I watched Alien Covenant a second time because I was that fascinated by the stuff that happened. Moving on. Alien Covenant is actually what I watched after Aliens. And like I said, I mean, nothing else. David, absolutely adore him. And like I mentioned this earlier, but one of the things people often say they don't like about these movies is they feel like these are a bunch of scientists and stuff, and they make all of these stupid decisions that just make no sense. And can I just say, I think people vastly underestimate just how stupid the majority of human beings are. Even people in like high positions of authority and power and prestige. Look at where we are in the world today with the types of people in power. I'm sorry, but we would not be where we are in the world today if people weren't stupid, okay? Not just the fact that I think human beings are way stupider than a lot of people realize. I also feel like a lot of the bad decision making in Prometheus and in Alien Covenant is kind of it drives home the point, you know, at least of where David is coming from, and frankly where the engineers are coming from. Like, humans don't really deserve to restart their civilization. If you're doing stuff like this, you know, it exemplifies how our hubris and our egos and, you know, high opinions of ourselves just becomes our downfall. You know, we think, they even say it, I think it might just be in like cut content from Prometheus, but there are even bits of dialogue where they like compare themselves to gods, and it's like, no, that's the kind of mindset that's gonna get our civilization just to go extinct. So whether you agree with David's actions or not, I think that the stupidity of humanity it's like, it makes it so easy to see where David is coming from, which I find very fascinating. And I think it also further enhances, like, that there is goodness in humanity, because you have people like Elizabeth Shaw, who you don't necessarily see that hubris from. And, you know, David, he says he falls in love with her, or he not falls in love with her, but he did love with her. It wasn't just like his duty as a synthetic or whatever, to protect her or help her and stuff. And I love it. I really appreciate so much in films. And I hope they keep doing more. Gosh, again, honestly, like, I don't throw out the xenomorphs, throw out the engineers, throw out everything. David, I want more David, please. I just love him. And, after watching Alien Covenant, that's when I rewatched Prometheus. Loved it. And also, I'm going to switch up. I'm going to use this, like, flat brush. But after that, I tried watching Alien vs. Predator, which I know is, like, I don't even know if it's, like, officially considered part of Alien canon or anything. Oh my god, that movie is so early 2000s, and frankly, I didn't get that far. Like, I tried to just sort of accept it for what it was, and I thought the parts where they showed, like, the alien stuff was cool, but every time, I don't know anything about Predator, by the way, but every time Predator came on, it just felt so cheesy. Like, it felt like a different movie. Like, it felt like some sort of, it had, like, cheesy Power Rangers type vibe to it, and I just could not get into it, so I was like, I think I'll pass on this. And then actually, just today, I started watching Alien 3. I don't know what the general sentiment is on that one. It doesn't have me hooked the way, like, Prometheus did, or even Alien Romulus, or of course Alien. But I sure have enjoyed it way more than Aliens by James Cameron. I didn't finish watching it. I think I'm like 2/3 of the way through. I do plan to finish watching it. I don't know if I'll want to watch it like multiple times, but it hasn't bored me, at least. And I hope that my ramblings haven't been too off-putting or anything. I would like to hear what you have to say in the comments. Whether you're just like a casual Alien fan, like you've just seen the first one, or if you're deep into the lore. Because, man, are people defensive about this particular lore, it seems like. Please keep things civil, but I would love to hear your thoughts. Especially if you're like me and you, like, I feel like with Prometheus, a lot of the initial hate it received from, like, people who were very reactionary, who were just like, where's the xenomorph sort of thing. I feel like that's started to come down, and a lot of people who couldn't originally appreciate it have been able to, from what I've seen. But especially if you're like me and you never got the hate, you're always like, this is super fascinating. Since it first came out, I would especially love to hear what you have to say. But all opinions are welcome as long as we're nice to each other. Tell me why you love Michael Fassbender. Oh god, I adore him. But yeah, David is... I could... yeah. thank you so much